Citizen Sleeper, checking out the DLC. Part 2. And carrying on where I left off, so I'm here, I re-rolled the dice, and I've not got a good say, but I'll see what I can do. I want to harvest the algae. Gonna up that. I feel like maybe I should be starting +1 on the dice, so the 4 becomes a 5. Havenage will not be pleased. Better start work on it. There you go, the alert starts going up. And there's not much I can do with a +1 on the die. I'm going to forget about it. I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to end the cycle. Get some more dice. Not great again. If I go in here, I'm going to maybe use that one. Harvest. There you go. And this would only be a 4. Damn it! Not great. I still got the reroll option, so I could try that. Better. So I got a couple of 4s. And it's so close to getting this. Put one over there. Oh, I can't. But okay, let's try to siphon water again. Manage that. I'm out of dice. Okay, I just have to be worried about restocking my energy. Let's restock the energy. Go back to the green line. And I'm going to go end cycle. Outside of dice. Okay, I'm going to run with that. Risky +1. Done. Got food for the flotilla. You are leaning against the metal crates you just loaded up with the algae packed and dried into bright green pucks. Ash hops onto one beside you, flexing her aching back. Is this enough? I hope beverages like algae. Stay silent. Is this enough? Ash squints at you as if you just interrupted her train of thought. It's a look you have become familiar with. It doesn't matter either way. This is what we've got, she sighs, rubbing her back of her neck. In these past cycles working the algae stack with Ash, you've little insight into her mind. She rarely seems happy to start a conversation, but is always eager to end one. Despite this, you feel like something has grown between you, something like silent trust, the kind that tends to seed itself in the fertile soil of hard but necessary work. There's something I've been meaning to ask, or concerned? Ash laughs. You could say that. She turns to face you. I think I'd be stupid to not be concerned about all of this. She's right, of course, though it's hard to focus your concerns on one thing in particular. Can the refugees survive on the flotilla? What are Havanage doing to help them? If the quarantine is lifted, is the Eye really in danger? Each worry is far too large to even begin to process to judge, and they mesh with other more personal worries until you feel the anxiety growing in your chest. You look at Ash and are suddenly eager to speak, to talk about something, anything, rather than just sitting and feeling this growing weight. Why escape XPR? Or why help the flotilla? Why escape? Ash pauses, her protective instinct fighting with the trust you've built. You can see her begin to shrug the question off, then she stops, rethink, sighs. What you need to understand, Sleeper, is that Erlin's Eye wasn't the only place where the Solheim collapse happened. Sure, Hawthorne, where we grew up, was an XPR installation, but that didn't screen him from Solheim going under. Actually, Solheim was the only reason XPR were ever here. She pauses, hesitant to get into the whole story, but wanting to offer something. She flinches, correcting herself. They are a service corps. You understand, they set up outposts and surrogate systems like this to offer refueling, logistics and maintenance services to bigger companies with extraction contracts. She gestures to the Eye around her, like Solheim. When Solheim went bust, XPR lost their client in Hawthorne. Well, we lost everything. We became an outpost task, but just holding on. Keep the refueling platforms running, they said. Keep the outpost stable. Hold on to our claim. She rubs at her head as if recalling all this was somehow physically painful. Do you know what it is like to spend your entire life in a place with no future, a place that exists only to hold a legal claim to a piece of territory to shore up breach of contract negotiations between two corporations? It's like living in a, she searches for the word, her eyes jumping back and forth, in a grave. She clenches her hands. So if you're looking for the answer to why questions, that's your answer. We, Pete and I, know what it's like to be forgotten, to be locked down. She stares hard at the side of the stack, the algae whirling against the glass in beautiful patterns as she doesn't look away. The silence extends and you realise the conversation is over. Ash seems angry, not at you, but with herself for even voicing such ideas. After a while you stand and start to load the crates onto the powered cargo trolley that Ash will run back to the Briar. As you do, you try to catch her eye, but she avoids it, soothing herself instead with the comforting simplicity of physical work. So, progress. We'll have to work on the water situation next. It's a +1 to the dice, so that becomes a 6. And I'm halfway there with water for the flotilla. The only two, I could try a reroll, but these are 3s. The +1 over here would make it a 4. The 3s become a 4. But it's a danger option. So I'm going to risk it. Bad idea. I didn't make any progress and the alert went way up. So yeah, bad idea. So I'll come over here and get my energy back up. Gonna go back to the greenway. I'm going to the dorm and get more dice. Another cycle. I'm going to keep track of how many cycles I've got. That crap dice! That's better after the reroll. I need to be making some progress here. The 5 becomes a 6. Okay. Put the 6 in there as well. Progress. Rest of the dice are not so good. So I'll put that one in there to get us some energy back. I don't think there's much I can do. You can check up here, the cycle clock. It's like this. The flotilla needs food, water and components. The cycle clock is halfway done already. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cycles left. Not sure I'm going to make it because I also have to work on this stuff over here as well. Blend in with a crew. That gives a possibility of a plus to coordinate intel. They're both risky options though, intercept comms. If I put this dice over here, the +2 makes that a 5. Yeah. It's worth getting started. End the cycle because I'm out of dice. Rubbish! I re-rolled, it's still rubbish. Oh man. I can have the 5 becomes a 6 for that one. And I think that's all I can do here. Got 3 1s. Can't do anything with that. Come in here. So I'm flickering here and this is going down. I've got to make a decision here. I've got 3 of these left to actually get the condition back up again already. Maximum dice that way. End the cycle. Rubbish! Rubbish! This mission will now be failed. I'll run out of cycles. I got the water done. Tucked into a service corridor deep below the reservoir, Ash is double checking the seals on the water tanks loaded into the motorized trolley. Though you are far enough away from any thoroughfares not to worry about being overheard, you both still speak in hushed tones. All good? Ash nods silently and hits the ignition on the trolley to start it moving. You take the other side of the trolley and walk it up the wide service corridor with its flickering lights and sulking deep truths. you don't, it gets used by Havenage, at least that's the hope. You glance across at Ash, her face a mask of determination as she guides the trolley along. Maybe some conversation will make this journey go a little easier. How did you meet Peak? Ash pauses, a little surprised by your question. She glances back down the tunnel, but in this deserted passage she can hardly keep up the pretense of silence. We grew up together, she answers quickly and turns back to the trolley, but she can tell you were expecting her to add more. She seems to gather herself for an answer, not wanting to ignore you, but trying instead to get her answer straight in her head. Our outpost, Hawthorne, is not an easy place to grow up. The administrators keep a tight hold of everything. She rolls her eyes, even though they are trapped in the same decaying installation as everyone else. Peak, she pauses. Peak found it harder than most. She pauses again, judging her words. I stepped in to help them out. Silence descends again, but you can feel the wheels turning in Ash's mind as the creaking wheels of the trolley take you along the corridor. Peak isn't the most practical of people. They used to be. Well, they needed someone to teach them to look after themselves, stand up for themselves. This was me, she smiles. After that I couldn't get rid of them. Ash stops talking, but you see her eyes have lit up and you imagine she's recalling some moment or other from her and Peak's past. You both reach a wide bulkhead doorway and have to stop to shimmy the trolley over the edge. When you're done, Ash turns to you. I'm good from here, head back. Watch her go, etc, blah 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 blah. That grey point is of no use to me right now. Maybe that one. Keep 2 dice even when the condition is breaking. In trouble with the dice. I'm not being given good stuff here. And I've not got many cycles left to get the job done. I will try this. That adds 2, so it's a 5. Okay, now I'm just left with crap, so it's too risky. That safe option is to get energy back up. Use up the others in here. And all I can do now is go home, end the cycle again. Give me good dice. Better. A rapid burst of movement catches your attention. A drone, its fins adjusting as it hovers in place, floats in the corridor. Walk away. You turn and walk away, but the drone follows, keeping itself at arm's reach. The drone buzzes closer and her voice gurgles out of its speaker, distorted and strange. Sleeper, come to the coordinate. We need to speak. Who is this? Why? The drone clicks some words and the recording starts playing again. Sleeper, come to the coordinate. We need to speak. Inspect the drone. You move closer and the drone bobs away to a safe distance, but as it does you see the HA of Havenage emblazoned on its side. Could this be Thing's drone? Satisfied it has delivered its message, the drone rotates and accelerates away as rapidly as it arrived. You stare as it disappears from sight, hoping for some insight that escapes you. To the coordinate then. Wait a minute, I'm not done here. Well, I guess I'll go here. Drone messenger. As you enter the passage that leads through the cordon, a flash of movement catches your eye, the drone. It stops to make sure you've seen it and then flits into a side passage leading to a set of narrow stairs. You climb up through the dark shaft, the drone stopping at each landing to check you are following. Despite its lack of expression, there's something overbearing about the way the drone waits, impatiently realigning its fins in sequence. After a long climb, you come out onto an observation platform. The cordon and the vast ramshackle refugee ships beyond fill your vision. The scale seems impossible and immediately you feel small and naive for even thinking you could affect the situation. Something shifts nearby, the drone again. A woman is stood at the window. at the edge of your vision. You aren't surprised you didn't notice her. She too seems impossibly small in the shadow of the flotilla. The drone buzzes by her shoulder and she turns. This is Helene. Sleeper, sorry for all the cloak and dagger nonsense. She nods at the drone, but I've never regretted being cautious. She smiles a tight smile and holds out a hand. I'm Helene. Shake her hand or do nothing. The tight smile holds, but the drone keeps its single eye fixed on you. The effect is a little unnerving. Look, she glances around the empty observation deck as if checking for potential eavesdroppers. Let's be straight with each other. I know about your plans, and she cuts in before you can respond. I understand your motives. You look at her in her overalls, the yellow markers, the HA signal. You've been on the eye long enough to recognise a Havenage member when you see them. You are Havenage. Yes. I mean, I expect that is obvious. The tight smile again. I hope you won't hold that against me. She glances around nervously again and moves a little closer. This entire situation, I'm not here to defend it. She glances back at the flotilla. No one is happy about this. Then release the flotilla, especially not the refugees, or stay silent. Release. She sighs. How do you think this works? She pauses. Sleeper, tell me something. What does Havenage mean to you? Hardenhurst, a work in progress, or a fresh start? A work in progress. She smiles. Fair, I think. Havenage is used to being criticised. In some ways we invite her. Our members are free to bring up grievances at any meeting, to propose new structures and approaches. She shifts her weight impatiently. As a counsellor, it is my duty to listen to them. That is why I was elected by the members. We are an imperfect system, yes, and each counsellor, each member, each representative can be flawed and worse. She looks down, but we keep this place running. That is what we do. And the flotilla? And the non-members? She turns and looks out at the clump of fractured ships. The flotilla is a problem. Can the Eye take in thousands of refugees safely? I don't know. This place is a ruined sleeper. What do you think the council discusses? The price of Giro? We make plans to keep this place spinning, to keep life support working, to ensure. Helene's slate chirps and a grim look passes across her face. As she sees the notification, she looks tired, the screen light casting a rigid expression in a pale glow. Sleeper, I didn't bring you here to explain how Havenage works. I came to talk about your plan to cross the cordon, breach the quarantine and supply the flotilla. She looks directly at you. How do you know? Play dumb or stay silent. How do you know? She glances at the drone. I make it my job to know what happens here. You know, you think you are helping the flotilla, but you cannot do this right now. Halfway along the way, one of the countless series of debates is being held. These debates are to evaluate the potential harm that could be caused if the refugees of the flotilla are left to enter the station. These debates are at a standstill. Helene walks to the window. Too many in the Havenage Council think of the flotilla as a threat. After recent events, a hardline group has emerged. Protective, selfish. They seek only to benefit the members. In their mind, the flotilla is a danger to life on the Eye. If you are caught crossing the cordon and breaching the quarantine, it will only strengthen the hardline councillor's case. Criminals who stole a ship from XP are undermining the security of the station. She shakes her head. It's exactly what they want. So what? That's your problem. The refugees need supplies. I'll go with the latter option. They do, and that's exactly what I want to give them. But unless the quarantine is lifted through a fair process, they will never get them. She sighs deeply. And those XPR spacers you are running with, Sleeper, do you know anything about them? No? More than I know about you, or stay silent. I can say no. Why do you think the refugee flotilla came here now? Something is happening in the system. Something is pushing people out of the colonies and outposts that have survived since Solheim collapse. We need to be ready for whatever is coming, ready to protect the Eye. I know the Eye means something to you. I know there's a reason you are still here. Help me protect it. Helene fixes you with a strong look. Persuade those spacers that this is the wrong move, that they will get caught, and the flotilla will be locked down. That Havenage will be delivered into those with the worst instincts. Forget this suicidal supply run with people you barely know. Help me fight for the Eye. Why don't you stop them? I won't betray them or stay silent. Why don't you stop them? If I expose the plan, it's the same as if it goes ahead and they are cool. Every way I look at it, the eye looks compromised, the quarantine justified, the hardliners get their scapegoat. Don't offer up the excuse the hardliners need to lock the flotilla out altogether, to persuade the members that they are the safest pair of hands. She looks at you imploringly, please. You look back at her and the flotilla behind in a sense of desperation in her plea. A notification breaks the silent ship. She rapidly scrolls through the pages of data. Sleep ready to go, she looks torn. Think about it, please. Talk to the spacers. Help them see reason. And she quickly leaves the observation deck before you have time to respond. You stay for a moment watching the lights of the tugs in the flotilla and wonder what it feels like to be on one of those ships, so close to your destination and yet so far from it. And then you think of the Havenage Council chamber across the eye, where the right of these people to find safety is being debated. You shiver and then you are gone back into the stairwell and the cold dark below. So, big decisions to be made. But I should finish off what I'm doing here, I guess. +2 to the dice, intercept comms. Which is done. And if I check this one back here, Briar's Hold is done, Peak's plan isn't done. So I've got 5s left up here. That's the Cordon Intel done. Which has opened up new options now. Cordon Operations, Quarantine Administration, the Crew Canteen, and the Havenage Hangar, which is the dock. And I got 27 minutes on the clock, so I'm going to be ending this part here. I'm going to make sure that the game saves. You'll get a message on the screen when it saves. Because this is a checkpoint. There it goes, saving. The last autosave 0 seconds ago. And see you next time.